Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today we're doing another side-by-side comparison, and these are going to be two of the best tablets out in the market, and that is the iPad Air 2 versus the Galaxy Tab S 10.5. So we're going to find out of these two big screen tablets, which one really is the best, and more importantly, in which category. So let's see between these two, which one is going to be really the best of the best. Now, when we take a look at tablets, the very first thing we always take a look at is the overall look and feel between the two. Now, with the iPad Air 2, we have pretty much the same design as last year, but almost cut in half. So the iPad Air 2 was actually thicker than the original Tab S when we tried it out last year. But in this case, the iPad Air 2 has narrowed itself down and become thinner than the Tab S. Now, if we put these two side by side, we can kind of see just how much of a difference this really is. And although these two are some of the thinnest tablets you will ever see, the iPad Air 2 is going to be slightly thinner. Now, how about the back? Well, the iPad Air, again, goes for that same classic style that we've seen on iPads before. We do have a gold one, of course, now. And really, it just adds the gold and the fingerprint scanner to the device. And that's the main differences from between the other iPad Airs, besides, again, the thinness. Now, when we go to the Galaxy Tab S, it looks very much like a Samsung device from the front. You have the traditional style of Samsung, home button, back, multi-screen, and the colors are going to be very different. There's 3 color variants. The first one is the gold and bronze, which I have. There is a white and gold, and then there's the black and silver. Overall, the bronze and gold is my personal favorite. I just like the way it looks and the way it kind of shimmers. The back texture is a much improved version of the S5's back texture. And overall, it just feels very lightweight, thin, and very easy to hold in the hand. The nice thing about it too is it has so much of a better grip. As you always know, we like to test our grip by just holding it, palm flat, and seeing how it is. When we do the same thing with the iPad, however, well, we better hold on because it will easily fall. Even if we do it at a less narrow angle, it actually still always falls in comparison. So because of that, and just honestly asking different people, including iPad users, which one did they like the best in terms of look and feel, overall, surprisingly, the Galaxy Tab S was chosen. If you know the videos here, they almost always go to the iPad or iPhone in terms of look and feel, but this time, actually, more people did favor it, so I am going to vote that way, that the Galaxy Tab S is the better for look and, more importantly, feel. Now, the first thing we always take a look at when it comes to web browsing is the comparison between screens. On the iPad Air 2, we have a 2048 by 1536 screen with a 264 pixels per inch. On the Galaxy Tab S, we have a 2560 by 1600, giving a 288 pixels per inch. And the screen size difference is about 1 inch. We have a 9.7 and a 10.5. So relatively, it's going to be a bigger screen, of course, but you're going to have a better quality screen on the Tab S as well. Now, in terms of, while we're here, dimensions-wise, we can see that the iPad Air 2 is going to be a little bit lighter and thinner compared to the Tab S, but not by much. This is one of the closest comparisons in terms of thinness and weight we have in tablets. All right, now let's check out how the web browsing does. And we're going to load on both and see which one finishes first. So the iPad Air 2 does finish first. We're at probably about a 10 second difference now. So probably around the vicinity between 10 and 15 seconds of a difference between these two when it comes to loading the page. Now let's try some scrolling. So the iPad Air 2 is definitely winning this one so far. Pinch to zoom, both are fairly responsive. And now double tap. So overall, the web browsing is going to be a little bit quicker on the iPad Air 2. It loaded the page faster, scrolling was better, pinch to zoom was pretty much identical, but double tap as well. So the iPad Air definitely takes it when it comes to web browsing between these two devices. Now, when it comes to sound quality, comparing it between two tablets, the first thing you always do look at is take a look at the speaker placement. On the iPad Air 2, the speaker grill is on the bottom. It is stereo speakers, but they come out of the same area, so you're really getting more of a mono sound than a stereo sound. On the Galaxy Tab S, they are a bit more ideal, not on the front, but they are side to side, so you do have at least more of a stereo sound being produced through those two, even though it's still not ideal again. Alright, we're going to take a look and compare these two in music quality, first starting with the iPad Air 2, then switching back and forth.
It's kinda crazy how the game is changed. The lights go on, they scream my name. The curtain goes down, I remain the same. But all that money don't equal the price of fame. From LA to New York, Seattle to the Bay. West all night flights, still while I'm getting late. Y'all go down to Vegas, they know where to stay. Last show in Cali, headed down to the state. I was a boy with a dream, had my head in the clouds. Now I'm sleeping first class, got a bed in the clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting on my blessings. Shout out to the Most High. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the Most High. Keeps it.
So as you can see, there really is no comparison. Although the Tab S does sound good and doesn't sound bad quality at all, comparing the loudness is just night and day difference. The iPad Air easily takes it when comparing the speaker quality, just because it's so much louder in comparison to the Tab S. So if you want to listen to music out of your tablet, you're going to want to go with the iPad Air 2. Now, when we take a look at a video quality comparison, the very first thing we always do is we do look at the aspect ratio. And this is a huge difference in movie watching between Android and iOS on tablets. That is, iOS, although it's only an inch smaller in terms of the screen size, it looks like it's 2 to 3 inches smaller because when you watch movies, the iPad Air is only going to be a 4:3 ratio, whereas the Galaxy Tab S is going to be a 16:9 ratio. So the fullness in the screen is not only much more suited for movies, but it just trounces it in comparative size, especially when you compare it to how big your screen is. Now, we can already take a difference in look, but we're just going to play these two videos and see how they do. And if you're wondering why it is a Samsung video, it's because they never get flagged. So, let's take a look.
You liking the new phone? The Note 4? Yeah, did you note that it comes with an S Pen? Mine has one too. I just feel really fortunate to have one. The new features are really fascinating. So fascinating. Dude, I'm not doing this. You know what's gonna happen. If we start doing this, it's gonna consume our whole weekend. It'll be all I think about. I'm not exaggerating. Oh, he's in! You're darn right I'm in, and I will dominote you. I will have a black coffee. I'll have an Americano. So, actually, I'm gonna change mine to a cappuccino. Cappuccino. Cappuccino? Alright, let's get some music up in this piece. I was thinking maybe something old school. How old are we talking? Like Beethoven? I was thinking more Beethoven. I was thinking more Vivaldi. Or Mozart? Antonin.
So, we'll cut it off here, but just so you can see, I mean, the difference in just colors and everything really in the screen just looks so much better on the Samsung. And that's for two reasons. Obviously, we've already talked about screen size, but the second is that you have an LED screen on this one, where you still only have an LCD on the iPad. This means that the iPad cannot produce true black, and it's just really not as good, especially with the new technology. Even on whites, whites are whiter compared to the IPS display on the iPad. So overall, you are just going to get a better overall visual for your movie experience if you're going to watch Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, anything you do watch. If you're going to watch videos, you'd rather have it on the Galaxy Tab S. Now we're going to take a look at the camera quality between the two. So first of all, I'm a big believer that you should not be taking photos with a tablet. However, there's many people that still want to do this, so we're going to go over that. On the iPad Air 2, it did bring a couple more features that it did not have on the iPad Air 1. You do have things like slow motion, time lapse, and of course you always traditionally have these square and pano features. But they also added HDR for instant HDR. You don't have to wait on it anymore, so that's a lot nicer feature. And of course, the timer itself. And when we go to the Galaxy Tab S, you have many of the S5 features. So you do have fast motion and limit for email. You do have the bunch of filters built in, which is still missing on the iPad. It doesn't have the filters built in, which is noticeable. That I don't know why they didn't have it. And you have, of course, lots of features like panorama, shot and more. We can edit after HDR as well, dual camera, and you can download more. So as normal, you can do a lot more with the Samsung. You can even take a photo using your voice. So there's lots of things you can do with the Samsung in terms of more, but is that equal to quality difference? Well, let's take a look and see. So first, let's go with these selfies, which is the only reason you should use a tablet for taking photos. And between these two, we definitely do get more detail in the Galaxy Tab S. Simply because you get more detail, you can see it in my beard. It's just a bit more accurate and not as faint as it is with the iPad Air. Just a little bit fainter in between it, and you can just definitely see even more of my beginning to be wrinkles in my old age right there at the top. So you can definitely see more detail when it comes to selfie taking with the Galaxy Tab S. Although, to be fair, the iPad Air isn't bad, much better than most tablets on the market. Now, when we go to the next photo, we still don't get as accurate. So unfortunately, the Dragon Balls that I purchased have gotten a bit less orange. So they are a bit more brown now, but they are not this brown. So they aren't as good of a quality in comparison to this. The gold is still more accurate right here, whereas the iPad really dulls it out, especially simply because of the fact that you have a lot of white in it, so it kind of dulled it to not be overexposed, but then it became underexposed. In terms of the accuracy on here, we can see that this one you can see a lot more easily on the Galaxy Tab S. And again, just the color representation is much more accurate. And finally, when we go to, again, a white background is really white on here, where it's kind of dulled out here. And again, there was a lot of light involved in this shot. So, but when we go to just everyone in the shot, we can see that you get a lot more detail with the Galaxy Tab S. And even though they're both 8 megapixels, you just get a lot more clarity with the Tab S. You can see even in the wording right here, you just don't get the same kind of level of detail that you do with the Tab S on any of the sections. So overall, for camera quality, the Galaxy Tab S does take it for not only more accurate, but overall in even color reproduction and for selfie taking, it's going to take it overall for you camera people out there that use a tablet for taking photos. Now when it comes to gaming between these two tablets, you do have a difference in the style and design. When it comes to Apple, they like to be the first to market with all games. So for instance, Game of Thrones came out for the iPad Air 2. I can get that on this right now. I cannot get that on the Galaxy Tab S 10.5. However, when we do compare the markets, we do see two things. The Galaxy Tab S will have definitely more free games, but also namely all emulators, whereas the iPad Air doesn't have emulators. So what emulators can do is, well, you can play PSP games, you can play PlayStation 1 games, you can play Game Boy games, you can play Nintendo DS games. A lot of all of the old systems, you have all of their games available to you on Android, whereas you do not on Apple. Plus, you can connect things even such as a PS4 controller to it wirelessly. So, although you do have more freedom with Android, the games category overall, after considering both, will go to the iPad Air in this case. Just because if you do want true gaming experience, you are going to get the latest games sooner on the iPad Air 2 versus the Galaxy Tab S 10.5. Now, when it comes to battery life between these two devices, they are fairly identical. Last year, the Galaxy Tab S did outperform the iPad Air in our usage, generally being about 10 to 11 hours versus 9 to 10 hours. However, this year, Apple has really kept up with the Galaxy Tab S 10.5, and now, as we started the review, we were at 94% and 91%, and as you can see, they are still 3 percentage points off. So, in usage and in standby time, they are really identical. For this reason, we're actually going to call this one a tie. They really do have almost identical battery life in comparing the two, and they're really good, going to be about anywhere from 10 to 11 hours for average users. Now, when it comes to extras, this is usually a pretty much open and shut case. With the iPad Air 2, you really have the only software extra being Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. However, for the Galaxy Tab S, not only do you obviously have an Office equivalent, but you do have the ability to do a lot more. These tablets both have fingerprint scanners in terms of hardware, but that's where the iPad stops, whereas the Galaxy Tab S has things like an IR blaster to control your TV, the ability to add on storage through microSD up to 128 gigs. Not to mention, obviously, the bevy of software extras, most notably multi-window to be able to have two apps open at the same time, ultra power saving mode to give you 15 days of usage, and a couple of other features. So you really do have lots of things available on the Galaxy Tab S that just doesn't come with the iPad Air 2. So in terms of the extras category, it is definitely going to go to the Galaxy Tab S. Now in this holiday season, sometimes we see sales on both devices. Normally they're both priced at $499. However, right now both are on sale for almost identical pricing. We actually have about a 70 cents or 30 cents difference rather. So currently right now both are at $459. However, you can expect the Galaxy Tab S to be much cheaper price on average. As we can see just in the used section, you're having almost $100 difference, as well as the refurbished though is going for a closer budget. Overall, most times than not, we do see more sales price on the Galaxy Tab S. During the holiday season, we have seen the same price at times, but we've definitely seen lower price as well. So although this week the iPad is on sale, next week it'll most likely remain at $499, whereas the Tab S can maintain these kind of price points for a much longer time. Overall, for these purposes, we are going to go with the Tab S for price just because typically you will always get more of a discount with the Tab S, even though right now they are almost identical in price. Alright, let's tie them up and see who won. When it comes to look and feel, surprisingly, the Tab S actually takes it for once. Most people did like it better, even iPad users, which is surprising since usually the iPad usually wins look and feel. But overall, the grip is better and the lightness is fairly similar. When it comes to the web browsing, the iPad Air definitely takes it, just loads its pages quicker and also seems to be more responsive overall. When it comes to music, the iPad Air 2 again takes it, just the much louder speaker coming out of the bottom. When it comes to movies, easily the Tab S takes it. Much better for watching movies, so much of a bigger screen because of the aspect ratio, and you can't beat LED with LCD. When it comes to camera quality, again, we find ourselves going to the Galaxy Tab S for the better overall camera quality. Much more detailed, better color reproduction, and also better for selfie takers. When it comes to gaming, overall we went to the iPad Air simply because you get newer games right then and there. You don't have to wait as long as you did on the Tab S. When it comes to battery life, Apple definitely stepped it up this year, and we have a tie on battery life. Really, neither one giving way to the other when it comes to overall battery life. When it comes to extras, the Tab S definitely wins it. You're going to get an expandable memory, you're going to have split screen capability, and you're going to overall have extras with the Tab S. When it comes to price point, right now during the holiday season, they are going to be similar price, but after the holiday season, you can typically find the Tab S for a better sales price overall on a weekly basis compared to the iPad Air 2 on a rare basis. So, when we tally them all up, the Galaxy Tab S wins. So, remember guys, if you want web browsing, music, and gaming, you're going to want to go with the iPad Air 2. If you want the Galaxy Tab S, you're going to want it for the movie quality, better camera quality, more extras, and usually better bang for the buck. Alright guys, hopefully you did like this video. Thank you for watching. As always, please give that like, thumbs up down below, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. It's been RICKY, the Android Guy.